my son thinks maybe he's not a boy, and maybe that's true, that happens. But, those kind of things are what they say, that's why I'm voting for Trump.
So you're
And
saying
they're not stupid.
You're saying it's cultural issues that should be interrogated.
Lots of crazy shit in society that's going on that makes no sense. I talk about it in the opening of the book.
I know. You talk about it on the show all the time.
Yes, the one about I did the whole thing about Mr. Beast, and Mr. Beast thinks a disability is something that needs to be cured. Yes, it is something that needs to be cured. Things like that. The homeless, keeping them on the street, and fighting for their right to be instead of just making sure that they have a place to. It's crazy. There's crazy shit every day in the news, and it's always that kind of stuff from the left. And the stuff from the right, of course, is even more dangerous. But we're just talking about talking to people, half the country, that I don't want to hate, and I don't hate. I don't want to hate. In fact, I want to talk to. And I want to get in my audience. And when I do stand up now, I do have a much more mixed audience. I don't know if they're full-on Trumpers, but some of them. And there should be. It's half the country. They're not going to self-deport.
All right, guys, so we got to talk about Trump deranged Bill Maher, who, despite his Trump derangement, every now and then, he will say something that is noteworthy that we should talk about, particularly when he's talking about the excesses of the left, okay? When he goes on his Trump deranged rant, that's not really noteworthy. That's not really newsworthy because we see that every single day. There's nothing special about that. But I will say it is noteworthy when Bill Maher calls out the far left, okay? He loves calling out the excesses of the left. And one of the reasons why is the same reason why Stephen A. Smith calls out the Democrats and their Trump derangement and the fact that they are trying to politically persecute Trump and how their political persecution of Trump is actually helping Trump win. It's not because he's a fan of Trump, but it's because he wants Democrats to win and he believes that Democrats are using the wrong strategy. Bill Maher here, kind of in that same light, is calling out the excesses of the left and the fact that the mainstream liberal media doesn't tend to focus on how cool for Cocoa Puffs the far left is, and that has enabled Trump, right? That has given people reasons to continue to support Trump because they see Trump as the only thing standing against the far left that is completely cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. Again, this is the argument of Bill Maher, and this is what he's going to explain to Katie Couric in his criticism of CNN, who hosted a town hall with Trump. You guys remember that town hall and how that went when Caitlin Collins, she went on stage and she basically tried to fact check everything that Trump said. She basically was debating the guy, right? It was Trump versus CNN. Okay, it was a debate more so than a town hall. And then after the town hall, despite the fact that everybody thought that Trump did amazing, the CNN panel just trashes everything that he said, right? So Bill Maher is going to criticize CNN for that. And I think that he makes some very, very, very interesting points in his criticism of the mainstream liberal media and CNN. Take a look.
You tried this. You tried having people like Jeffrey Lord and Kayleigh McEnany.
Yeah.
And that didn't work because, well, then you're basically giving voice to election deniers. Okay. But to me, the way you deal with Trump is this. Okay, remember the town hall he had on CNN about 6 months ago, and the audience loved it. The audience loved it. You can hate it.
It was stacked with Trump supporters.
Well, they said Republicans and independents. That's what they said. Okay, maybe it was. How'd they get in? If they did, that's on CNN.
I agree. I think it is on CNN, and the vetting process was...
Well, then you got to get a better audience person.
Obviously.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's like the person who handed the gun to Alec Baldwin.
Yeah.
Got to get good people in all these positions.
I agree.
Okay, so if that was about, whatever, even if it was, here's what happened. Here's what people saw in America. They saw Trump killing it with the crowd. Then you come to a panel of 6 people who all just do nothing but dump on him and call him a liar. And America goes, oh, didn't you just see that we like him? And
He's
now,
not a stand-up comedian.
What?
He's killing it. He's not a stand-up comedian.
No, but popularity, doesn't matter. The people loved him and what he was saying. And then you cut to a panel of 6 know-it-alls in Washington who just do nothing but talk about the negative. And like, I'm all in on the negative. No one's been harder on Trump than me. But I get it, and I'm bored with it. And there's a different way to do this, I think, which
So
is
what is it?
not to defend Trump, but to defend the people who still vote for him, because what they see on the other side to them is even more dangerous, because it's very closer to home. My kid is coming home from school and he thinks he's a racist. He's 5. What have you been telling him? You know, my son thinks maybe he's not a boy, and maybe that's true. That happens. But, you know, those kind of things are what they say. That's why I'm voting for Trump. A
backlash to the pendulum swinging so far to the left.
Conservative guy once said to me, what you don't get about Trump is we don't like him either. Now, that's not true for all people. There are people who just love his dirty drawers, and they are dirty. But lots of people, it's like that. We don't like him, but he's all that stands between us and madness. That's their view.
So
I would like that view presented. That view, not election deniers, but just try to understand why even the election denying thing is not a deal breaker for these people. And I think they're wrong, but I don't hate them.
So you're saying
they're not stupid.
You're saying it's cultural issues that should be interrogated.
Lots of crazy shit in society that's going on that makes no sense. I talk about it in the opening of the book.
I know. You talk about it.
Yeah, so you can see that, you heard that. Now, I think that Bill Maher brings up some interesting points in the sense that he is right about the fact that I think one of the reasons why CNN is struggling so much is because a lack of representation of basically half of the country. Now, he claims that, oh, well, you don't need to platform election deniers, which, I mean, is just complete nonsense considering how CNN and MSNBC and the mainstream media routinely platform election deniers if they're Democrats, right? So, again, the whole election denying thing is just so silly to me. But outside of that, what Bill Maher doesn't realize, and I'm surprised he hasn't really said this, he didn't say this, is that CNN can't criticize the far left, because if they criticize the far left, that's criticizing the Democrat Party. That is criticizing their base, because that is where the Democrat Party is currently, right? It's like, for example, Bill Maher is saying things like, well, you need to criticize the woke gender agenda. You need to criticize the woke race agenda that's being pushed in schools, that's being pushed on society. Bill Maher has been critical of that. However, Bill Maher has gotten backlash from the far left for that type of criticism. They call him transphobic. They call him racist for that, right? They basically think that he's a conservative. Okay, if you look in the far left circles and you ask them what do they think about Bill Maher, they'll say, we think he's conservative. He's basically MAGA. That's what they'll say. Okay, and one of the reasons why is because he's not on board with the woke agenda. Okay, Bill Maher is just a liberal that's not woke. Okay, I mean that's essentially where he's at. Okay, he's a sane guy. He's Trump deranged, but he's still sane, right? He got that vote blue no matter who, and he's a part of the reason why the lunatics have taken over the country, even though he complains about the lunatics. But again, he at the very least, he can recognize that the lunatics are there. Again, him and Stephen A are extremely frustrating me. They are kind of like in the same bucket for me, okay? They definitely understand the issues and the excesses of the far left, and really, they should vote in the other direction, but their Trump derangement won't let them do it. Right? The Trump derangement will not let them do it. But anyways, again, what Bill Maher doesn't understand is that CNN, they can't platform anybody that'll come out and actually criticize the far left in their woke agenda, because if they do that, then CNN will be called racist. CNN will be called transphobic. And in fact, there are people that work at CNN that believe that. Right? They're all on board with the woke gender agenda. They're all on board with the woke racial agenda. That's why you have people going on the network saying on air crazy stuff like, oh, OJ was special because he killed white people, right? Like, what type of crazy mess is that? Okay, this is what they're openly saying on CNN. They're spewing that on CNN. And if you tune in to MSNBC, they're even crazier, right? They're even crazier with their rhetoric. So, yeah, CNN is trying to compete with MSNBC. They're trying to compete and get that left-wing audience. And because they're trying to do that, they can't platform anybody with any type of sanity, especially when it comes to these cultural and social issues, right? I'm pretty sure that Bill Maher should understand this because he's one of the guys that have gotten criticized from the left for criticizing the excesses of the left. But again, he is right in the sense that, yeah, I mean, I'm not going to say that there are no Trump supporters that are simply just supporting him because the far left is crazy. Maybe that's a good amount. I don't know. But I do think a majority of Trump supporters are supporting him because he has good policies. Plus, he's not as insane as the left, right? He's not on board with the left-wing agenda, especially when it comes to a lot of these social issues. I think it's more about his policies. Plus, he's not insane, more so than just him not being insane, okay? Because there are Republicans that are not insane, okay, like a Ron DeSantis, okay? He's definitely not woke, and, you know, he wasn't able to win. Well, I think it's because people like Trump, and they know what they got out of Trump, and people loved his policy. So it's just not that he's not woke or that he's not, you know, a far leftist, you know, or that he pushes back against the woke agenda, because, again, Ron DeSantis has pushed back against that in Florida. Nobody has done a better job, I think, in my opinion, that's actually in government and from an executive position of actually pushing back against the agenda than Ron DeSantis, okay? Ron DeSantis has waged war on wokeness in Florida. So, you know, it ain't just that. It's not just that. But, again, he does have a point in the sense that the far left and how Looney Tunes they become, I think definitely helps Trump. And it makes it really hard for people to support the Democrat Party when the Democrat Party has basically become the far left. I mean, they are a progressive party. Now, progressive will tell you that's not the case. But see, they're trying to slide the Overton window all the way to the left. They're trying to tell Democrat, you ain't left enough. Well, no. The Democrats are actually too far left. What we actually have to be doing is bringing things back towards the right. Okay, we got to start bringing things back to it. No. These Democrats, they're progressives. Okay, they're far left progressives. That's how you bring things back towards sanity. Okay, because, I mean, let's be real. Where was Joe Biden and Barack Obama on gay marriage and immigration when they initially were running for president and vice president? We all know where they were. Obama was talking about putting alligators at the border, okay? Build a moat and putting alligators in the border, right? Joe Biden was talking about building walls, okay? They both came out and said, yeah, we're not pro-gay marriage, okay? We're against that. Now, I mean, they're as woke as they can be. They're all, they're in favor of your kids learning about sex in school. Joe Biden is pro-open borders. He out here begging illegals to come into the country. During the primary, the Democrat primary, this man was telling illegals to come into the country because it appealed to the far left. That's how insane his party is. In the 90s, Democrats were tough on crime. Joe Biden was responsible for the crime bill. Democrats actually had some sanity 30, 40 years ago, 20 years ago. But now, in 2024, again, they are as far left as they can be. And again, that's the issue. That's the problem. That's why CNN can't platform anybody with some common sense, because if they do that, then they're attacking the Democrat Party. If they attack the woke left, they're attacking the Democrat Party, because that's what a Democrat Party is. This is why they don't want to do it. This is why they can't do it. The fact that the mainstream liberal media gets on board with the woke agenda, I mean, they're on board with biological men competing against biological women in sports. They're on board with it. Jake Tapper said it was a narrative. It is a narrative that biological boys have an athletic advantage over biological girls in sports. That's a narrative. That's how far left CNN, instead of just stating it as a fact, it is a scientific fact, right? It is a scientific fact. On average, boys have a significant athletic advantage over girls in sports. It's not debatable. But again, you know, we're now in a society where, again, these have become topics of debate because we have now shifted the conversation into the realm of my opinion deserves just as much credibility as facts and reality, because my opinion matters because I'm oppressed, right? So therefore, my feelings shouldn't be hurt. My feelings have taken more importance than actual facts. So when people see that the border's wide open, that they're trying to indoctrinate kids in school, that the economy is not great, inflation's out of control because of progressive spending and the progressive priorities, economic priorities of the Biden administration, crime is out of control. When people see all these things and we know that it's a result of progressive policies, and then CNN has a town hall with Trump and then they turn around and they're trashing Trump after the town hall when the country was in a much better place under Trump and we weren't dealing with this much insanity, this many bad policies under Trump. Yeah, people are going to say CNN ain't very credible, right? CNN is not a network that I'm going to go to for reasonable analysis or unbiased analysis, because there's no way that we can live in a country where, again, the country is going to complete shit under Biden, but yet they're spending more time criticizing Trump, a man in which the country was in much better shape when he was in office. It doesn't make sense. It just doesn't make sense at all. Doesn't make any sense. So again, Bill Maher does have a point in the sense that CNN does ruin their credibility when they do that. When they spend all of their time talking trash about Trump and going after Trump instead of going after the far left. The problem with this country is not Trump. The problem is the far left. And the fact that they've dragged the Democrat Party to the far left so the Democrats feel the need to be more progressive in their policies in order to appeal to them, which again is why we're in this situation. So, I think that this was a very interesting point that Bill Maher had brought up about CNN. I think that it is true. They refuse to platform Trump supporters. And because they refuse to platform Trump supporters, this is why they continue to struggle in the ratings. And I will continue to say that. Again, if I was CNN CEO, I would be calling up Megyn Kelly, Tucker Carlson, and I would be offering them a fat contract. Hell, I might have to go to Bill O'Reilly, right? I might have to get him. Got to get somebody, okay? I'm just saying, CNN should actually live up to their name, okay, and actually stick to the news, okay? And it's okay to have opinion commentary, but just be upfront about the fact that, hey, this is opinion commentary, and we're going to include opinions from across the board, from across the spectrum. But they can't do that, because if they did that, the same thing that happened at NBC would happen at CNN. Remember when they tried to have Ronald McDaniel, and these people lost their mind, and she ended up getting fired within like a day? Because the employees there couldn't stand to have somebody on their platform working with them to work with somebody who has a difference of opinion than them on certain issues. So, hey, it is what it is. I mean, it don't really bother me that much to see CNN fail. I'm actually happy that they're failing. But at the same time, I definitely think that our politics would be much better if CNN was actually neutral, or if they actually moved to the right. I think that they would better represent this country, and I think that is what the news is supposed to be. It's supposed to represent everybody's views in this country, but clearly and obviously that's not what modern day news has become. So, hey, let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.